Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980 8483 340 9400 or 635 9906.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Hello and welcome to the brunch on Kerr Fatou Live. I'm Lamin Cham. Thank you very much for watching this program wherever you are. This is the weekly current affairs program that comes your way at midday every Saturday. I'm Lamin Cham. This week, the topic is concerns and fears about Gambia's transitional justice in the wake of President Barrow's rapprochement with the APRC and much recently with the community and family of former President.
Will provide you with the solutions at
will this compromise the transitional justice or process issue in the Gambia, or is this the beginning of what the President himself calls true reconciliation? Well, I have two gentlemen of law, that is, who will take us through in our analysis of this very important issue. First, Ibrahim Jallow, lawyer, Esquire, shall I say Esquire, is with us, and Salieu Taal is the president, of course, of the Gambia Bar Association. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Let me begin with you, Mr. Jallow. You are a lawyer and must have followed the beginning up to this stage of the Gambia's transitional justice process, which, as you understand, is epitomized by the formation of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, which looked into actually the main issues concerning the transitional justice system, which is human rights violations that took place under former President Jammeh. The TRRC has completed its work, and twice the report presentation have been delayed, which itself sparked allegations suggesting that there must have been some insincerity, conspiracy, or even sabotage on the parts of commissioners who allegedly contributed to its delay. But let's confine ourselves to the fact that up to now, the report is not presented. And a lot of people, and I must say, people of right thinking in our society believe that all is not normal. Let's set the scene like that. The critics said, the government of President Barrow is no longer in a hurry to receive this report because of its political implications. And that is, to say that the president is at the moment reaching out to the APRC, whose leadership, or at least whose leader, is almost suddenly the chief suspect in these violations, which is almost going to be recommended by the TRRC. They believe that since that is happening, the president does not want, or is he not in any hurry to receive this report. So as long as it is delayed up to December, when he doesn't have to deal with it before the elections, he's happy with it. What is your opinion on this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cham, for having me today in this platform today. And I also used to say that I'm happy to be in this panel with my able president, Mr. Salieu Taal.
Okay.
I esteem him very much, particularly in issues like this, because he's an open person and he tends to encourage and listen as a leader. Good. So on the issues, you raised several issues on your questions, building your question, and I think they are very paramount and important issues that we should take into consideration in the socio-politic happenings in the country recently. First of all, I would like to start with the last point that you made about the issue of the TRRC not presenting their report to the president or their recommendations, as the case may be. I believe that there are implications for not being able to do so, despite the fact that the TRRC has been given time and time again upon their own request for time to be given to them to process and to complete their responsibilities and duties under the mandate they are given under the TRRC Act. Despite the fact that they have time has been extended for them several times, they have failed to deliver as supporting people when the Gambian people expect it. The emergence of one of the council, the senior council in the TRRC as a potential presidential candidate or as a contestant in the forthcoming elections, also cast doubts in the minds of many Gambians as to really the genuineness of the whole process.
and the indication of the executive secretary,
yes,
who said he has also considered.
Yes, has also considered. So this is a very serious issue that Gambians, I think, is a time wasted, and that there was no intention from the beginning of making this whole thing realistic, as was presented in the from the beginning. The issue of the Adama Barrow and NPP, alliance with the APRC. My view is that it is based and taken under the considerations of what has happened in 2016, 2017, the constitutional crisis, the transition process, and the refusal of Jammeh to leave. If we could cast our mind back, there were certain steps that were taken by the regional body ECOWAS, the African Union, and the United Nations. There is a resolution 2337 that is passed by the United Nations on the situation in the Gambia. That resolution have made on Article 13 have made recommendations and mandated the Secretary General to ensure that to ensure and facilitate transition and within the Gambian people and dialogue. Under that article, actually, the Gambia have seek the assistance of donors and experts to be able to help them to organize something that we have now as a TRRC. If you come to the declaration that was made by the African Union, the ECOWAS, and the United Nations in the 21st of January 2017, there is a declaration made, and that declaration has have many impacts. Because it has the government of the Gambia have undertaken to make sure that they ensure they assure and ensure the dignity, the respect, the rights, of the former president. Not only the former president, but his party, political party. Not only his family, and those things are taken into consideration. So, under the same declaration, the government of the Gambia is mandated to ensure that there is a dialogue between the Gambian people, in order to bring about a unified Gambia, because they believe that during that transition there was mistrust among the Gambian people. So Barrow moved to bring the APRC on board. I believe is in line or in consideration of that of those two distant I mentioned. That is the UN resolution 2337. And the joint declaration made by the AU, the ECOWAS, and the African Union.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the trouble with that, let me begin with your last answer. You said perhaps President is acting in recognition of those declarations by the AU and the UN, which advise that the country seeks reconciliation and peaceful existence. But then the trouble is that United Nations and the African Union and its human rights bodies, as recent as day before yesterday, said there has to be accountability first in the crimes that have been committed in the Gambia. At least 17 or 19 right groups, some of them working directly under the UN or having its blessings, have called for prosecution of people guilty or rather suspected of carrying out human rights violations. Now the issue is, even before the TRRC recommendations are made, critics believe that President Barrow, in his bid to get the support of the APRC, is now, by his actions, shielding those people, including President Jammeh, who is the chief suspect, from any prosecution, because he's jumped the gun, embracing them even before the reports that might recommend their prosecution is out. That's where the problem is. And if you say reconciliation, many critics said reconciliation should start with the victims. The president has not even met the victims, but then he is now visiting the chief suspect in those crimes. People said this is for political expediency. He's only interested in getting himself elected. That's why his intentions are not for reconciliation. He would have started with the victims. Those were the people who directly suffered Jammeh's atrocities. Why didn't you think, in your opinion, he deemed it necessary, if his intention is sincere and genuine reconciliation, he didn't involve the victims?
Yeah, thank you. As I always said, I will not categorize what has been said at the TRRC by various people as conclusive facts or evidence that what they have said is the truth, is truth. It is subject to processes being followed to establish the reality of those.
So you don't believe that Deda Haidara was shot?
I believe that there were acts done by people unidentified, and the allegations were leveled and directed to the president, former president.
But you believe that in any case, you believe that Deda Haidara was shot?
According to
you were here when Deda was shot, isn't it?
No, I was not here. I wasn't here. I was in Nigeria.
You heard that he didn't die naturally. Some people shot him. You heard that.
Obviously, we read it from the news. We've seen pictures, and there are confirmations by certain people that there were people who are involved.
Yeah.
But whether these people, we should understand that they are working under government organs, government institutions, and there are responsibilities that are attached to individuals' actions, and there are responsibilities that are collective, and there are responsibilities that goes way to the president. So when it will come that the president will bear those responsibilities is a question that is that the council, if you realize in the TRC, was always trying to.
Even when those who took part in the act said they got orders from him, you still don't believe that it was him.
No, I want to say that okay, that is fine to say they got order from the president, but how are those orders given, and how are those orders executed? There is a procedure. Whether those procedures should be can be established for purpose of, as you were saying, making sure that justice is done. But remember, justice is not a one-way traffic. It's not it should be also the other party who is alleged or who is accused should be given the benefit and the opportunity to say his version of the story. So at this moment, we did not hear from Jammeh. There are people who have come and confessed that, but the law has laid rules and procedures on how certain things should be done. A declaration of war, for example, a Gambian soldier cannot go to the Senegalese border and fire shots into the Senegalese, and there is and he said that I was ordered by the president. There must be some procedure of hierarchically. Jammeh cannot under the military rules.
But whose responsibility it is if people get killed, disappeared, tortured, and subjected to indignity? Whose responsibility is that perpetrators, that justice is served in those cases? Whose responsibility? Is it not the government?
It is the government, and the president
aren't you aware of the total lack of absence of any action by government when all these things were happening?
Of course.
For example, did you hear any investigation on the Deda Haidara? Anybody prosecuted? Torture of massive scale, the killing of the West Africans. Did you see any Gambia government action to seek justice for them?
Yes,
no.
Mr. Cham, we agree that there are heinous things that has happened, so crimes that has happened.
Whose responsibility is to ensure that those things are investigated and perpetrators brought to book? Whose responsibility?
It is the responsibility of the government.
Who was the head of the government?
To ensure that there is the lives and property.
Who was the head of that government?
Of the people in the
Gambia.
Who
was the head of that government?
Can I make my...
I'm asking who head that government?
Yeah, I'm just trying to... I'm coming there.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I want to say that it is the responsibility of the government.
Exactly.
To ensure that the lives, properties of the people, the citizens of the Gambia and people living in the Gambia are protected, and their human rights are respected, right? As I said earlier, the president, the former president, under whose government that this thing has happened, have a duty to explain to the Gambian people and to the international community, because we have international obligations, that why and how those things has occurred. And that, for example, you make mention of the people in Ghana, the Ghanaians that were killed here, allegedly. I can say alleged, but
you still don't believe they were killed here?
No, there are allegations.
Even with all the evidence is probably you didn't.
There are allegations, but I understand that the government have man up during Jammeh's time, and they have taken steps, reconciliation steps, to explain, and that there were communication at a certain level between the government of the Gambia and the former government of Ghana, Muhammad, that certain understanding was reached as to what had happened, or the miscalculations that had happened. So I think it's not totally fair to say that every Tom, Dick and Harry that happened in the Gambia, Jammeh should be accountable for it. We understand that all these things, or most of these things that I said, occurred during his time. But now, whether Jammeh alone should be responsible is not clear yet. I think what should be done is that Jammeh should, as we are trying to do, Jammeh is not above the law. Obviously, he should be prosecuted for any involvement he did as a head of state.
Okay.
Yes, but those things we are not. I cannot conclusively. Nobody can conclusively say so until a due process of law is followed.
You believe that if at all he is suspected or likely believed to be involved in any of these atrocities,
yes,
he should have his day in court?
Obviously.
Okay, but then what we are saying, and other critics are saying about the fears they have about that possibility of bringing him to court, is that the leadership of the Gambia, which should lead that process, are themselves reaching out for him or his party for political reasons. So the fear that not just the victims, but people of right thinking, and of course the international community, who had a lot of goodwill in seeing that the Gambia, progress beyond this through a justice system, are now fear, and they are concerned that the government is definitely taking a wrong direction as far as seeing the justice and healing and the process and reconciliation are concerned.
Yeah,
so that's where
the crimes that are leveled against Jammeh, some are domestic, that can be dealt with domestically. Exactly. And there are others that are international skill.
Yeah.
And that I believe that the ICJ, for example, International Court of Justice, and the ICC, they have mandates and so prosecute certain crimes. What Jammeh have done should be covered within that.
You believe that? Yes.
What Jammeh have done, before anybody Jammeh can be prosecuted outside, he must have committed, for example, crimes against humanity, violations of human rights. Most of the statutes, the ICC statutes, the ICJ statutes, always make reference to domestic procedure, unless domestic procedure is exhausted.
Or there's no willingness.
Yeah, or there's no willingness.
That's what people fear, that there might be no willingness.
I don't think that the coalition with APRC, Barrow is sending a signal that people who have committed wrongs during the APRC regime can go free.
Well, yes. Why people think is that because the APRC leadership are saying that the TRRC recommendation should be put in the dustbin, and Mr. Barrow is working with them to get re-elected. So if people are justified in saying that Mr. Barrow is not interested in implementing the because the people who said you should put it in the dustbin, they are the people you are working with to get elected to the government. So people are justified to say that Barrow is definitely going to do what the APRC said.
I have a glink of the agreement, just a pimp of it.
The agreement between the NPP,
the MOU. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
So what I want to say, why I want to say that is why I say that is because it's to clarify the point that most of what people are saying that a possible recommendation that is to be made will be put in the dustbin is not in the MOU. It's not there.
Let me ask you one question that have been buffering governments. Yes. Is there anything in the MOU which says that President Jammeh should come back? Because that's what APRC said. They negotiated. They said nothing less than that. You are privileged. You said
that's why.
Is that there?
That's why I have said if you look at paragraphs 4, 5, and 6
of that MOU.
No. Paragraph 4, 5, and 6 of the joint declaration that was made by the African Union, the ECOWAS, and the United Nations.
Yeah.
It says that these three organs have a responsibility, an obligation. This is an agreement. Have an obligation to assure and ensure that the former president is entitled, is given his dignity, his respect, and his constitutional right. Right?
Yeah.
Under the constitution of the Gambia. Okay. Under the constitution of Gambia, he has a right to stay in the Gambia.
Okay.
Right? So if that is included in the agreement, that is just an affirmation of what has already been known or should have been known by the Gambian people.
So
already.
You say it's there.
I cannot say it's there or not, but I'm saying that the president has a right to return.
But if it is there, you said it really rhymed with the declarations.
It rhymed with the declaration, and he has the right to come back. What follows next is another thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Thank you for that. We'll come back to thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Salieu Taal, you are the president of the Gambia Bar Association. Of course, as a lawyer, you follow the Gambia's transitional justice system. You had opinions expressed in every twist and turn of the events, I'm sure, up to the last ones. There are growing fears that the transitional justice system, will fail in many respects, because the government whose duty is to lead it is definitely now, deviating from that, and in fact undermining, as most sub-critics would say, the process by, having now a rapprochement, between those who've been accused, and himself, for political expedience, as his opponents say. What is your impression of the whole transitional justice system in the wake of these developments?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge my brother and friend,
yes,
Mr. Jallow.
Your landed friend, as you would people say.
We say learned, not landed.
Oh, landed.
Not
landed friend.
Yes.
Yes,
he's my landed friend, and
yes,
a very. I will always tell him he's a very brave young lawyer, and we don't always agree, but we have a lot of mutual respect.
Okay,
and that is the spirit of. When we say landed friend, because we have friends and we disagree on issues,
okay,
but not on personalities.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I'll start with my landed friend is right that obviously ex-President Jammeh constitutionally, legally is entitled to come to Gambia. I don't think there's no. I mean, I don't take the view that
no qualms about it.
I mean, legally he can come to Gambia. He cannot be stopped from coming to Gambia. I think that is legally settled. And it is also there was also a draft, not a draft, a declaration, with UN, AU, and United Nations, excluding Gambia, by the way. So
Gambia is not
part of the declaration.
I see.
It's a declaration. I mean, and this declaration, we are very familiar with it because some of us were involved when this was actually being done at the time. And it's a declaration, and in this declaration, it affirms the right of ex-President Jammeh's dignity as former head of state to be respected, which I think is fair. I think every citizen, talkless of his head of state, has to acquire dignity. That is not in contention. It also says that he has a right, I think Article 13, to come back to the country, to ensure that he comes back to the country and acquire it in line with the norms of international human rights law as a citizen of the country. That is not in contention. So let's put it aside. That I have no, personally, I don't have any issue.
But when you say it involved the Gambia, what
I'm saying is this declaration, the parties to this declaration, Gambia was not a party to this declaration. I mean, that's why Gambia.
That's why the government has once said that.
Yeah, my party.
My party.
Yeah,
then they know.
Exactly.
They are not part of it.
So the Gambia government did not sign up to this.
Yes.
But at the time we had an incoming a president-elect and an outgoing president and an impasse. And this was part of the solution
to solve the problem.
And it was necessary. I'm not criticizing. It's necessary. It was done at the time.
Okay.
Now, what does it say? This declaration does not say that Jammeh is not to be dealt with in the event there's a process. It didn't grant Jammeh any immunity.
Yes.
It just says that, which I think is what as a democracy. We talk about democracy. We have to go in line with, we have to have due process. And that's exactly what the TRRC is seeking to do.
In fact, not to cut you there, when the first issue about this declaration was raised, in the standard, we contacted a United Nations official about this. He said, we don't comment or interfere in the sovereign matters of sovereign states.
Okay, that's another discussion.
That's exactly what
anyway, that is it's very fluid anyway.
Okay.
I mean, that time our sovereignty was hanging in the
exactly,
air.
Yes. Yeah.
But in any case, I mean, I just want to I wanted to bring the issue home. Yeah. This is a declaration, and I think as a country we should respect it. I have no issue with that. As a sovereign country, a country that is part of the United Nations. I mean, this was a declaration made by our partners who are very helpful in restoring our democracy, and it was part of the solution that led Jammeh to leave.
Exactly.
Fine. Now, fast forward, the incoming government, on the leadership of Adam Barrow, set up a truth commission to take stock of what happened during Jammeh's time and also make recommendations. This commission's work has not yet been completed, and it's not because of the government. I mean, as a matter of, it's not the fault of the government. I think, in my opinion, and based on what I know, I think the sheer volume of work involved was underestimated, and really they struggled to finish it. I think what is more important is to finish the work and have a proper report than to rush to have a report. Because, as a matter of fact, from June, after July, it doesn't matter whether the report came in November or September or October, because the president of the Gambia, the current president, or whoever, if he's re-elected, or whoever is president, has, the current president, for example, has 6 months, within 6 months. And even if the report came tomorrow,
the election would have been held before it.
No, he doesn't have to look at the report until after, within the 6 months, because it's only already 3 months of election.
Yeah.
So whether the report came last week, 2 weeks ago, or next week, I mean, the president has the discretion not to look at not to issue a white paper until after 6 months. He can decide to do it within the first 2 months of the 6 months, or the last week of the 6 months. So for me, that is neither here nor there.
Oh.
I think my personal concern is when we came together as a country, we took positions as a country under the leadership of Alamoro to replace a system, right? We elected him on that basis. His government, his government, represented by Attorney General, put in place a TJ mechanism. Funded, a lot of money was put into it by our partners. Nobody forced us to do it. And we have a Truth Commission, Truth Reconciliation Reparation Commission, which is, and at the end of the commission, the government, until today, they have said that they will implement. That's what they have said.
Yes.
Now, if in the midst of all of that, I mean, like I said, of course, I mean, it's not as simple. Not everything that's said there is to be taken as the end of it.
Ah, okay.
So, of course, I mean, it's not a court of law.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people confuse that.
Yeah.
It's a tribunal that's trying to elicit facts.
Okay.
I mean, and those facts will still be challenged, maybe challenged elsewhere.
Okay.
So that is
That's
one
understood,
thing.
right.
So that after the Truth Commission, there needs to be other steps to be taken, and those who are found to bear the greatest responsibility, whoever it may be, would now be dealt with either, I mean, to a court. It could be a hybrid. It could be a local hybrid court or international court. Of course, the problem with ICC is anything. I mean, ICC was started in 2002, so anything before 2002, for example, cannot be dealt with ICC.
Okay.
For example, Korosise. The death of Korosise.
Yeah, cannot be covered.
So I think ICC will not be very
in those ones.
I think it will not be very ideal, because even the outgoing, I think prosecutor had said in the case. So I don't think the ICC would be ideal.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. So I just want to say that nobody. I mean, the TRRC is not trying to deny anybody found wanting of their rights to due process. In fact, when after you have TRRC processes, right? Let's say prosecution is recommended against, let's say, Jame and some people. They have a right to have legal representation. Most of these courts actually have a fund that will pay for, even if you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to talk about due process. If somebody makes an allegation against you and you don't have an opportunity to challenge the allegation, because yes, as we have not heard from Jame, we have heard from everybody, but we have not heard from Jame. So hopefully, if and when
those courts
when the report is done and is recommended, I mean, the whole of Gambia will have a chance to hear on both sides, which I think, for me, is the way it should be. And that, as lawyers, that's what we encourage.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and cast aspersions.
Exactly.
I mean, because I'm sitting here as bar president.
Exactly.
Now, the politics of it all. What is the trajectory of the TRRC is really of great concern to me and many right-thinking Gambians, for the simple reason that the main reason why the TRRC was set up was to interrogate allegations against a former leader, right, and the system that was created around him, right. We can argue about what is the details of it, but I don't want to get into that. Now, that leader's party, when we voted to change our government, okay, exercise their right to challenge the matter in court, which is fine. That's the right, fair play. and went further to extend the life of Parliament, right? Because they passed the.
Of course, they had it.
Yeah. So for me, of course, they can do that under the Constitution. Fair enough. Now, this country nearly went on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us had to. I mean, our lives were in danger. We were targets. You know that. I don't have to
Of
repeat
course,
that.
yes.
I don't have to repeat that. I'm not go there.
Yeah.
Now, I was in that room when Anabara was being sworn in. I was one of the few Gambians in that room.
Yeah.
You know.
In Senegal.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that happen that we cannot talk about.
I know.
Now, having gone all the way, now our president, our leader, you decide to enter into an alliance with that party, which is legally his right. Nobody legally, NPP and we haven't broken the law. We don't legally. It's not a problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's a legal right to do it. Your political party and EPRC is not disbanded. It's a legal entity. In law respected. I mean, it's a legal political party, part of the IPC. Everybody interacts with them, the embassies, so that's fine. Then you not fine. When I'm saying legally, it's fine.
Exactly.
Legally, it's not a problem.
Fine, yeah.
You go further and decide to visit the family of the ex-president, which, as a person, legally it's not a problem. But what I find problematic, I'm sorry, excuse my language, is the hypocrisy and the unconscionability of that act. I work very closely with the victims center. I was one of the people who helped set it up in many ways. And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, the president has never visited the victim center. Not only that, I recall the first time the victim center were given audit to the president was when the German president wanted to come here. And in the schedule, they're scheduled to meet the victim center. That was the first time the president called the victim center. For me, this is problematic. The optics and the conscionability. Secondly, if I mean, I listen to, because I follow these things keenly. I don't want to talk without knowing the facts. I heard in the press conference on APRC when the current secretary of the party, Fabakari, was saying that they will throw the thing in the bin.
To the dustbin.
Dustbin. You, as a president, this is President Barrow's TRRC.
Exactly.
Your TRRC.
Yeah.
That your Minister of Justice is pushing very hard, because at our level we interact with the Minister of Justice, and as far as we're concerned, they are very committed.
He has.
I'm telling you. I mean, we have no reason to doubt their commitment up to today, for sure.
Okay.
Then your political leader, because at the end of the day, Dawda can look at the report, make recommendations, take it to State House, and the president is the one who will decide what's in the white paper, or whether there'll be a white paper. I just came from Ghana. I was in Ghana for a 2-day regional consultation on transitional justice processes.
On transitional justice process.
Yes, and I was there with the AG. I mean, the president of the bar of different countries, including Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other countries, and we're sharing experiences of TJ processes. Yeah. And one thing that came out very strongly is, and also Cote d'Ivoire.
Ah, okay. Was it an ECOWAS thing or
ECOWAS?
Okay.
Supported by ECOWAS and CDD.
Okay.
One thing that came out, TRRC, the success or failure of TRRC, amongst other things, rests on the political will. In Liberia, it was absent. That's why after all the work that was done, it failed. Yeah. In Sierra Leone, it was also problematic. In Cote d'Ivoire, it was problematic, and it was political will. And some of the signs we are seeing here, if you look in other countries, they were the same. They were similar signs. That's why we are concerned, because if today, if like my other friend who's privileged to see the MOU, right? That's fine. If people get the reason, I believe APRC wants to go to bed in NPP, because they feel NPP will give them cover, which is a natural thing for them, as for their survival. If I was them, that's what I would want. In fact, they wanted to do it to everybody else.
Yes.
And I hear the argument that everybody else wanted to speak to them, which is true. I mean, the hypocrisy is not only NPP. A lot of political parties have taken APRC people, have dealt with them. These are facts. I don't mince my words.
Okay.
So we are a very hypocritical country. But NPP is headed by the head of government. That's why it is different.
That's
it
right.
doesn't make the other moves right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm equally disgusted by those actions.
Okay.
Because sorry, when I sit here and I hear some people speaking from the other side, and I mean, it's like musical chairs of who has the best of APRC across the board.
Exactly.
So let's just call spade a spade.
Okay.
But what is different is, right now, the person who has the power to change things is President Barrow.
Yeah.
Unless those people are in power, it doesn't make a difference. So for me, I think it is really a very worrying trend, given the where we came from as a country and the kind of Gambia we're trying to build. We're trying to build a Gambia where we're saying never again, no to impunity. And those who enabled impunity, those who supported impunity, those who used their power to legislate for impunity, right, are the ones now you're in bed with. I mean, for me, that is, I mean, as a Gambian, forget about my lawyer. I'm not speaking as a lawyer, as a person. I don't know how many people can sleep at night. They say, as I said, they say politics about interest, but we need to move. We need to fix our politics. Interest. I mean, imagine today in Nazi Germany, after the war of everything that the Nazi Party did. Then the incoming government decides to go into an MOU with. I mean, it would have been outrageous. When I said I was in a meeting in this different stakeholders, I told them, oh, by the way, do you know that our president's party is now in an alliance with Jammeh's party? They said, no, sir. I said, yes, it's true. They said, no. I said, yes. And I mean, people risk their lives. People spend money. The United Nations spend lots of money. Nigeria spends lots of money, resources. But President Buhari came here. When he didn't even have a cabinet. I mean, others came here. I mean, you know what's head? Ibn Chambers. I mean, a lot of effort was done. EU, France, to salvage and save our democracy against the person who was standing in our way and against the system. Now, the person who benefited from all of that say, thank you very much. In fact, I'm going to reconcile, because reconciliation.
That's what I'm going to hear. What you said,
reconciliation.
He gave a justification that he's doing that. That is,
with all due respect, with all due respect, reconciliation is, I believe in reconciliation fully. I believe all Gambians. First of all, I believe the people who suffer most on the journey are Jolas. I've always said that. Honestly, I believe the amount of suffering that Jolas have. That's for sure.
His own people.
No, in terms of what happened, what he did to them, he has not done to any tribe in Gambia, for sure. So I believe we cannot build a new Gambia without excluding any group, particularly Jolas. I'm not advocate for that. So if President Barrow went to visit the Jola community, so that we are building one Gambia where nobody feels like a minority, that's a different story. But the person who is accused and alleged, and I believe, for me personally, that he has command responsibility for so many of these things. That's what I believe personally. It's an opinion.
I know.
Opinion. I can leave it at that. And time will tell.
Of course.
Now, to go back in bed with that person's party in the middle of the election, at a time when the report that you championed, the report that you sought support for, is not yet out. What message are you sending? I mean, I think the message is very clear. I mean, and people that you are in bed with are systematically rubbishing this report. And you have never for once condemned them. You, and the next thing, they are standing next to you and with their nice Ashobi, with Jammeh's picture
and yourself
all the time, which is very painful for particularly the victims. Victims. Imagine if the child of solo sending, the child of data had
exactly. Imagine victims to see Jammeh and Barrow's picture in the same T-shirt. They would say, well,
really, I mean, for me, this is beyond law. This is about conscience, and we have. This is a collective state in our conscience, because we can look at technicalities all day, and Barrow hasn't broken any rule or law, and you can say but we need to move away this zero-sum Machiavellian politics. You can to be in power or stay in power, you can go to bed with anybody. I mean, I think that is problematic, and that is why that kind of politics will divide this country and can sink this country, because that is how people also get into genocidal tendencies.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm tribalist,
Yeah.
if it takes tribalist for me to be president, I will be tribalist.
Absolutely.
If it takes for me to be elitist and have few people, then where do you draw the line?
And the line
is that the Gambia we want?
No.
For me, I think as a leader that we have so much hope and expectation of what was this thing? One Gambia, one people, one nation.
Yeah.
I think this action really negates a lot of the things that we believe he represents or represented. So I think for me, I mean his legal points are taken, right? But I want to make it very clear. All the UN resolutions and the declarations, they don't exclude like the possibility of holding Jammeh accountability in line with due process.
In fact, they were not ambitious. There was no ambiguity. They said categorically.
Yeah, it's there.
There should be justice.
In fact, that's why I remember when this was being discussed, I was telling people there's no need to fight about this document because this document just says that in line with international human rights law practice.
Exactly.
If you are alleged to have committed a crime against humanity under international law, you cannot have immunity for that. That is settled international law. You cannot have immunity against crime against humanity. And even if you are tried in Gambia, there are many courts that have jurisdiction to try you, for sure. Even in absence of political will, there are many ways, as I say, many ways to skin a cat. So, but ideally, I think we should own our process. We should own our process as Gambians, and what works for us. I think it's very important. I think it's also very important for us to have honest conversations about this.
Exactly.
I think this transcends politics. I mean, what Jammeh did, or what Salieu have done, I mean, history will tell. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not everything that Jammeh did is bad.
Yeah,
for sure.
Of course, yes.
I mean, he's done. I think he's done very good things in terms of education, health, and that you cannot take away from him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that just because you've built us a university, a TV, doesn't mean that if you are found wanting in terms of committing gross human rights violations, you should be held accountable. Hitler built the Autobahn in Germany. He's behind Volkswagen.
Well, you see.
So for me, the two are. On one hand, for me, it's very clear, and I think the UN, I know for sure, right? For sure, because the Trial International released a report
Just the day before yesterday.
yesterday, and the UN is very clear about the need to ensure accountability. I know the UN is very clear about the position.
Absolutely.
I know the US is very clear about the position, and I know for me, it is very, very clear. So I think us as Gambia, at the end of the day, we are a sovereign country.
Do you fear that President Barrow in these actions may find himself at odds with the international community, such as these international organizations that really gave him a lot of goodwill, who are still, very much interested in seeing that justice is done? Wouldn't they be disappointed with his recent actions?
I think even Stephen Wonder can see this one. I think President Barrow has foreign policy advisors who will advise him accordingly. I think, these countries spend a lot of money to ensure global accountability, all over the world. All these commissions are funded by very few people. The US Peace Fund, the EU, a few countries. They put millions of dollars in these things. Now, so I think if people have invested so much for what you requested for, they not only train your people to have the capacity, they give you resources. You also put your own resources, because we also put our own resources. We have very little resources we put there. So I think the only logical thing is to allow it to take its course. Obviously, there's no pronouncement that is not the case. We just now sort of saying, how does this action look? I'm not saying that the president, because the president has not said he will not implement. I think the official position up to now is to be implemented. But the actions that he's taking will make it very difficult, and it is not wrong for people to think otherwise. And I think it is for him, whilst he's doing his campaign, let him say, look, I'm President Barrow, and anybody nobody's above the law, including Jammeh. If Jammeh is found to have broken the law, I think he should be accountable.
Yeah.
And I think
he found it difficult to say that.
I think he should be able to say that. That doesn't mean that he's gonna. He can.
Well, he cannot say that, because if he had any intention to say that, he would have said so.
Well, I'm just saying that for me.
Now, what do you make of this theory? Because there's another theory which says, look, President Barrow knows what he is doing. He had already assured his, international and powerful people who have backed him that, look, what I'm doing is just politics. What I'm going to do when I'm into office is a different thing. So, kind of assuring that, look, we are just doing politics. Do you believe in that?
Okay, it's not a matter of whether I believe in it or not.
Yeah.
I think you need to understand that this international. First of all, it's not about international community, because we are a sovereign country.
Yeah.
I'm not so much hung about what the international community they support us, but the international community are not that naive.
Yes.
I don't think the president would just say it like that. I don't think
they will take it. I'm just doing politics.
That would be preposterous to say it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what I see, because I follow this keenly, the narrative from that side is it is in the spirit of reconciliation.
Yes.
Yeah. And which, in principle, is okay. But reconciliation, we already put in a legal framework.
Exactly.
That's
going to take us there.
Take us there.
Yeah.
So you're going to have your own policy framework.
Yes.
That's going one direction. And you are taking another direction.
Yeah.
I think what would have been better, in my opinion, with respect, for the president to wait until TRC finishes.
Yeah.
Even if he wants to take that step, let him take it within that framework, because it's like you're undermining.
Yeah.
Because these guys have taken. We don't even know what they are going to say.
Yeah, we don't hear yet.
We don't know what they're going to say. Yeah. Nobody. I don't know. Anyway, nobody knows. Or those who know.
Maybe the president knows.
I don't know. But I'm just saying
what we are hearing.
I don't like to dwell on rumors.
Okay, right.
The rumor mill sometimes in Gambia, and I think you press. I'm sorry. We need to be more responsible, because the rumor mill seems to take more prominence than.
No, what makes that clear is that you have a credible source, and you cannot have officials owning up to
and I'm not saying that. And I'll tell you something.
Okay, all right.
I also, in my position, I'm interested in ensuring that.
Information, yeah.
No, like the TRC works for Gambia, because I think it's good for the country for us to heal.
Okay.
So even when all this, when all information happened about TRC, there was even an allegation that it was because of the executive.
Yeah.
I went personally myself to get the facts.
Okay.
And when I got the facts, in every platform I am in, including the bar association, I said this is the position. Okay. The reason why the report is delayed is because they haven't completed. And I interacted with the Minister of Justice, because I go there and get information from primary. So at least before people open their mouth and speak or talk, let them be based on facts.
Okay, he mentioned something. He said, and of course the people who politicize the ATRC acted on that, that the involvement of lead counsel Issa Faal and the announcement that the executive secretary, who was the number one head of this, all had at one point expressed interest. Issa, of course, has gone full-blown politician. He said perhaps those actions have to say this, at least played into the hands of the critics who always wanted to politicize it from day one. What do you make of those things? Because some people argued those things have nothing to do with the report. They have done their process. They can become farmers, carpenters, politicians, but then that doesn't have to do anything with what they have worked on. What do you think about
to be honest, I believe the decision of SFL to go into politics and the announcement of Babagali was disappointing to me and problematic.
Okay.
No, wait. Just relax. I have a lot of respect for the council and Babagali. They're all my big brothers. But I think that just like I spoke about what the president did is not against the law.
Yeah, but morally, perhaps.
Questionably, I think it has a potential to undermine confidence in the process. I think for me, it's from that angle.
From that angle, yes.
Because if people are already accusing, because there are people who don't want the process to
work. They won.
From day one, for obvious reasons, rightly or wrongly. And you take this position, number one, first of all, you are taking a position to run for president, which is his constitutional right. He has a right to run for president as a Gambian. Now, the person who set up the report, who employed you, is the person that you're competing with. And in fact, it may be on that person's desk to approve or disapprove. So already there could be that's problematic.
Oh,
It's problematic.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, in Gambia, people don't like to discuss these issues because it's people have their affinities and they don't want to talk about certain issues.
I see.
But to be honest with you, I think that yes, SFR has a right to run for office, and I don't want to take that away from him. You know, just like any other Gambian can be president, he should be able to be president. I don't want to. I'm not saying that. I will not jump and say that his motive to be president is because he became popular in TRRC. I just think that having made that decision, it also now brought a lot of light and heat.
Yes.
That the TRRC does not need. And that's my opinion. And for that reason, I don't agree with it. But that is what happened on the bridge. He's already made his decision as an adult, an informed adult, and that's what he wants to do. And good luck to him. Okay. But for somebody who's interested in the TJ process, this was a concern, and I'm sure many have the same concern. They may not air it out.
Exactly. Yes.
And I'm not saying this to discredit him in any way or
I
form.
Understand,
but at the end of the day, these are facts. That's my own perspective. I think that in as much as the TRC, I mean, his role was a lead counsel was to lead the legal process, but the legal process when does it end?
Absolutely.
When does it end? So for me, really, and of course, Baba Jallow being the executive secretary.
Yeah.
I mean, having a never again slogan and all that sort of thing.
All that sort of stuff.
So I think that was, to me, I think it was ill advised, in my opinion. Right. But
don't you think it, like you said, it played into the hands of the critics?
Of course. I mean, evidently, because that was buzzing when people now had more ammunition to say, "Oh, see, I told you, we told you."
But should that be an excuse in the hands of the critics?
No. But for me, first of all, let me tell you something. SFR is not the TRRC. Even the lead counsel's role is not in the TRRC Act. The TRRC is a commission. The commission is not SFR.
So the commissioners have the last say.
In fact, SFR has no power under TRRC.
Only to interview and
he was helping them to get the information.
Okay.
And they will decide what to do with the information. He can advise them on the legal ramifications of issues. These things out.
Yeah.
That's where his role stops as lead counsel.
Okay.
But the commission, led by the chairperson, they're the people who decide what is in the report, what's not in the report, and what it should look like with their technical team.
Okay.
So, but because of his personality, his flair,
and he's the face.
I mean, for example, in South Africa, do you know who the lead counsel is?
Nobody knows.
But everyone knows Desmond Tutu.
And he was chairman.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So I think all these things are lessons for us to learn, and also for other countries to learn. But I think at the end of the day, we should not, because of SR's decision to get into politics, should not be a basis to rubbish
it.
I think that would be very, very dishonest.
That would be dishonest.
Because I think, at the end of the day, SR is a Gambian who made a decision, but something so important.
Yeah.
We cannot just decide because one person
has decided.
One person whose job is to guide the process decides to go into politics. Therefore, you say, "Oh, because of that person." We collect all the benefits that it can bring to us in terms of social cohesion, in terms of reconciliation, in terms of healing, just accountability. You want to throw it out because SR wants to be president. I find that very dishonest. I think it's an excuse. Despite the fact that I agree, it has problems. It's problematic.
Yeah.
And that problem can be dealt with.
Yeah.
Problem can be dealt with. But that's not to say that it taints the process. That's my opinion.
But you said part of that problem could be it can bring credibility problems.
Credibility is about perception.
Perception, yes.
Because I think the chairman of that committee is a very credible person.
Still credible.
Adelaide is credible. All those people are credible. The credibility of that report will be determined by the content of the report. The content of the report, when it comes out, then we can start questioning its credibility. Then lawyers will look at it, and will come with opinions. And anybody who's accused, as advancedly mentioned, you go and hire Ibrahim or Salieu Taal, and we will defend you.
Okay.
Yes. Cabran principle.
Yes.
Your learned friend has raised issues.
Yes.
Overall, he says there have been issues about implementing the transitional justice process in the Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, in Liberia as an example. And, you know, the large part of it is based on the lack of political will. And he said there are signs of such happening here, given the recent actions of President Jammeh going to bed with party or parties who are believed to have been behind some of the issues that have happened in this country. That is quite, reasonable point of judgment, isn't it?
Yes, thank you very much. The President of the Bar, Salieu Taal, has played a very important role and sacrificing role to bring about democracy in this country. During the transition 2016-2017, he voluntarily masterminded a hashtag that has been used throughout the country and internationally. And the credit should be given to him for that.
Really contributed immensely.
So I can understand his feelings about attempts to truncate all those things, to change it, to make it useless.
The whole process.
Yes, I understand that process. As he rightly said, most of the things that have been done by the Barrow-led NPP and the TRRC level, they are unconcernable, in meaning that things that we do not expect, morally they are wrong, but legally they're justifiable, right? He raised other issues about the declarations that were made by the three organs, international organizations, the EU, the ECOWAS, and the United Nations. There is a law that regulates how this thing operates. There is a Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, 1986, which deals with international agreements made by international organizations. There's a 1969 convention that deals with country-to-country agreements. So this particular declaration, we call it a treaty, declaration, and agreement, but it's an international agreement made by three international organizations. Every member, every state that is a party to these organizations, one of these organizations, once the organization have signed or ratified, or as the case may be, they have a responsibility to adhere and to implement the recommendations signed by the organizations. In this case, ECOWAS. Gambia is a member of ECOWAS. ECOWAS has signed that declaration. It's a member of AU. AU has signed that declaration. It's a member of UN. UN has signed that. So the Gambia, in my opinion, the Gambia is a party. So that declaration.
Whatever the government
because no single country
signed it.
Yes, because no single country signed the declaration. It was signed under the umbrella of an organization. So the Gambia cannot say that, okay.
So the Gambia being a member of those organizations.
ECOWAS, automatically
it has jurisdiction.
They bind them, and they are part and parcel of it. They have obligations. There are obligations and responsibilities that need to be implemented by the Gambia, particularly mentioned as a country. So that is what. But
at that time, this very government said they are not part of the agreement, and they have.
I just want to come. I don't mean to. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes,
if you allow me, just. I think there's a difference. This is not a treaty. This is a declaration. Declaration is you are saying your intention, declaring an intent. And if you look at the language, it's more like I'm encouraging you to do A, B, C, D. Right. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm not even.
You want to say the agreement is not binding?
No. I mean it is possible. It's not. Gambia doesn't have to follow this agreement for sure. I believe that. He can have it, but I'm just saying I'm not even saying that we should not follow it. I think what is content in it, even if we follow it, right, it does not justify what President Barrow is doing.
Oh, I see.
So I'm not even going. I'm not talking about. Let's even assuming that the agreement is perfect on all fours. For argument's sake, I think it's I think it's problematic. It was hastily done. I think so, but it was the diplomacy. Sometimes and just tries to
have a solution.
Because Gambia, if Gambia didn't leave Gambia, it would have been terrible. Yeah, so I think it was good that this at the time is great. It's part of the process that convinced Gambia to leave. So that's great. So I'm not. That's what under the bridge. Now my point is, even if assuming that we should listen to what the agreement says. The agreement is saying that you should give Jammeh respect.
Respect as head of state, former head of state.
Jammeh can come to the country. Those are things already, like you already said, that our constitution says. There's nothing here that is not in line with our constitution. There's nothing new here. And I'm agreeing with him. Jammeh has a right to come back to the country. But when he comes to the country, what can happen to him? That's a different story. Absolutely. Like if he's for example, the Jammeh Commission has found that Jammeh has committed crimes.
Yes.
That I mean, basically economic crimes of great magnitude.
Yeah.
That has, I mean, I don't know whether that has been challenged or not.
Some challenge. There was one particular case that was.
So I'm not aware of
thrown out.
So technically, I mean, this government can charge Jammeh of economic crimes.
Absolutely, yes.
You know that. Yes. But I'm just saying, so there are many reasons. There are many bases. Jammeh can walk in to the airport. Nobody will stop him. Technically, he should or shouldn't. But that doesn't mean that he cannot be held, he cannot or should not be accountable. And this agreement is not saying that. He's saying that we should not take advantage of him. And I agree. He should not be. He should be respected. I agree. He should accord due process. I agree.
But the same body is saying that justice has to be done.
Yes,
that's what he's saying.
Mr. Cham, and the committee on UN Committee on Enforcement has said clearly, categorically, it's important that those who are found wanting should be prosecuted. I'm not. I mean, if Jammeh happens to be one of those,
yes,
and this is the.
And is very much suspected to.
I mean, I will not want to comment on that,
Mr. Cham. I agree with Senior Counsel on his opinions that we agreed Jammeh can come back here for those rights and policies.
Even if it's a declaration is perfect, it didn't excuse anybody.
Let him
you post a question that the government, this current government, by the time my party, have said that they are not part of the agreements on those. So I wanted to make that clarification that the statement he made, the government of the Gambia is not part of the organization. It was political statement.
But the government didn't come back to say anything otherwise.
Yeah, but they don't have to. Because the document is very clear, and that I'm telling you the legal basis why Gambia is member and as a party to that agreement. That's what I was trying to establish. We agree that there is the point that Jammeh can come back.
President Barrow has never said the Gambia is going to respect that. He didn't say.
No, but anyway, I think that point is. I think let's not belabor that point. I think it is. We are working with these partners, and we still work with them, and this was issued by them. Let's assume that it is part of the framework.
Yes. So on the point that second point that Mr. Taal have also talked about, which pained me, really is it moved me emotionally. It's about the relationship that Barrow is showcasing with the and how other people who are allegedly victims of human rights violations. Yes.
You can say who victimized them,
yes,
but they
are victims of human rights violations.
Yeah.
How they feel.
Who killed him? That he was killed.
Yes. Okay. Right. The victims of human rights violations, how they feel when they see the president of the country is romanticizing or is making romance with the alleged suspects or people who may be connected to those violations. I understand the sentiments, and that we all agree that morally it is a wrong move at this time, at this healing process, and that to do that is a preemption. He is preempting the likelihood of a recommendation that is going to be put on his table, and that we have to make it very clear that SFL role and the secretary to the commission,
the executive secretary,
yes, it is the secretary. Their recent acts is capable of jeopardizing the whole process, because SFL particularly play an important role. All information that is known by the commissioners are brought in by SFL through his role as counsel. So his role is very paramount to me in the whole process, right? As he rightly said, SFL could end up being the president, and we already know his stance on the TRRC, what will happen eventually, or what should happen eventually. He's a legal fanatic, I can say. He already made his point clear. So his point is that all people who are allegedly mentioned as violators should be prosecuted, and that if you look at the theme of the TRRC, truth and reconciliation, right? Reconciliation, I believe that when there is obviously justice, the judicial process can heal many things. So see that the victims see that their violators have been punished, but whether that is in the interest of reconciliation is a question. So SFL ambitions to be president should be judged from he should come clear to the Gambian people and to tell us whether he knew or whether he intended to contest presidency in this country when he was accepting his position as least counsel, because he knows this has a correlation. If he has that intention previously,
in other words,
has a correlation.
I was saying, so, just as the victims have concern that President Barrow may really ignore their plights as victims, may not implement, may not follow justice. Equally, you believe that people, APRC people or something, but she may fear that SFL might end up being president, and his stance are already understood. I see you
anticipating a situation like that, and if SFL turn out to be that,
turn out to be president. Yes. I know his turnaround people are praying. Yes. Your prayers are answered.
Yes. So the process of the TRC will more or less will be distinct, because there is not going to people perceive discrimination to be made, and that the person cannot be the advocate, and at the same time the judge, on those issues. So I think that it is ill-conceived for that purpose.
Ill-advised.
Ill-advised, yes. And that the president really going to bed, as senior counsel have put it, with the APRC, legally is correct. Politically is a wise decision to make politically for his political ambition. Every politician want to have supporters behind him in one way or the other. What is more important is whether the president will respect the wishes of the Gambian people at the end of the day. And the wishes of the Gambian people is to make sure that what has happened will never happen again, and there should be a process that will make sure that that has not happened, and that is what the international community is backing the Gambia to do, and it can be through reconciliations.
You haven't still seen the contradiction. I mean, you are saying that you president might still be interested in ensuring that what has happened never happened.
Yes.
Yet you didn't see the contradiction that he is in bed with people who said that should not happen.
No, I don't think they're saying that nobody.
APRC said the thing should be.
We have seen, for example, let's take an example for the Janneh Commission. What happened to the report? Where is the report?
The report has been submitted, and there has, according to many, well, of course, there have been selective justice. So there are people who've been.
Yes, the report has been submitted, recommendation made, but whether those recommendations have been implemented.
The white paper.
Actually, many have been.
Many have been, but then
many have been implemented. Some are being challenged in court.
In fact, the recent challenge in court by M.A. Karafi, he's been thrown out. That was an appeal.
Many have been implemented.
Yes, many have been implemented. For example,
they have confiscated a lot of people's assets.
Jamme's assets have
been sold by the government.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. So,
and in fact, when M.A. Karafi challenged,
yes,
and the government suspended those sales, the government won the appeal, and now the government is free to continue even selling if they wish to. Although people will ask whether they in the tail.
Yes,
in the light of this, they will continue.
My position on that as a lawyer is that the commission, although they have the commissioner have a power of a high court judge, but the preemptive selling of the assets of the former president and his properties without a judicial process
was wrong.
Was wrong. That's my own opinion. Right, and that I agree totally, and I believe we agree on the point that Jammeh can come back here, and I agree that if there are any sufficient evidence that he has committed crimes under his when he was the president of this country, he should be prosecuted. Nobody should be above the law, and that is what we stand for as lawyers, and that is what the Bar Association has stand for.
Okay.
So we will support. Personally, I will support any process that will lead to a judicial investigation through the courts, of anybody who is alleged to have committed those crimes.
Even if Barrow is elected, re-elected, you still want to see that happen?
Yeah, if Barrow is elected, I believe that Barrow have a responsibility towards the victims and towards the international community who have pledged to support the Gambia, and the government has also have made those promises to the international community that they will make sure that the human rights violations are addressed, judicially and judiciously. So we should not throw those things aside, as said by the leader of the APRC. I think he was just saying his own
political.
That's
what many people believe. Some don't want to. Yeah. Some say that's preposterous, how you call it. No, but people still want to believe that these two camps are just plain politics. No one is interested in what they are pronouncing. It is difficult.
I think the APRC will eventually get some leverage.
When Barrow is elected.
When Barrow is elected.
Some of them might get into government.
Yes.
But the big issue surrounding Jammeh will not be prevented.
We have to remember. We have to make sure that Mr. Sall has said that APRC is a legal entity.
Yes.
Right. It's different from the president. And the crimes that are committed by the president, as allegedly committed by the president, are not crimes that should be attributed to the APRC.
Okay. The problem
and to the members of the APRC.
The problem the APRC
yes.
Have in that is this, according to most people's analysis. You see, Fabakary Tombo,
yes,
Yankuba Koli, Rambo Jata have never been known to have committed any crime.
Yes.
Their supporters in Sibano, in Soma, in Abuko have never done anything wrong.
Yes.
But then together they have made Jammeh's burden by saying that, look, Jammeh cannot be responsible for this. It has to be Jammeh this. It has to be Jammeh this.
Yeah,
we have to think that's what brought them.
For me,
yes.
I guess my unsolicited advice.
Yes.
I mean, I remember post impasse, there was a lot of discussion about whether APR should be banned or not banned. And I was one of the guys that said, I don't think. I mean, since we're saying we are building a new Gambia, I think it may not be necessary to do that. In other countries, they ban.
Yeah, in fact, but to be fair with this government, when they came to power,
in other countries they've done this.
Yeah, but to be fair with this government, when they came to power, they said no, let die a natural death.
My point, that was also a political decision. that was a political decision, because when this new government came, they were not controlling the parliament. And the things that happened, there was some things that happened that also made the transition smooth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's politics. Yeah. Politics, they're in their own world. But I just agree with. I think what is important now as a country. Look, let's put the country first. You see, politicians, they come and go,
Yeah.
But the country stays.
That's where the problem.
So I think what I expect is APRC should say that Jammeh is innocent until found guilty.
Yes, and stop that.
And that advocate for Jammeh to be given due process.
Exactly.
When the commission comes, the evidence will be in the, because it's not the evidence of the commission on its own that can convict anybody. There's going to be another process, another investigation. Maybe a lot of things will happen. Lawyers, you must remember, in the commission, nobody had a chance to cross-examine anyone.
Exactly.
So when Ibrahim comes and says this about Salieu Taal, the lawyer cannot ask Ibrahim to kind of discredit Ibrahim or cross-examine him. So like in a court.
Exactly.
So the weight of the evidence is not the same as in a court. So but in a trial, you will have all the opportunity to assess the probative value or weight of evidence before anybody is convicted. So the time will come. So I think at this stage, let us give the TRC the opportunity to finish their work, right? And then present a report, and then whoever is the sitting president, whether it's incumbent or whoever else, issue a white paper, and then we look at the recommendations, and then even because all of us have a role to play as because what is important is TRC has different elements. One is it is recording history, what happened. There's reparation, there's reconciliation. I think reconciliation, if the truth, that's the truth, forces the truth, establish the truth. Then reconciliation, reparation, of course, and holding those who bear the responsibility accountable, so that it sends the message this cannot happen again.
Exactly.
But underlying all of that, it is important thing is to make sure that we stay together as one country.
Exactly.
I think that is very, very important. And that is a process that will continue. It doesn't end. It's a continuum.
Exactly.
So we need to also understand that I don't think you can have genuine reconciliation without justice. I was sitting just 2 days ago. I was sitting with a Liberian president who was a minister and who was locked up several times by Charles Taylor and others. And he was telling me, and other Liberian active people who are very active, they're telling me, even in Liberia, things are brewing because of the unfinished business. Because, for example, the current president, Sally Johnson was mentioned in that report, so she didn't implement it. The current president now is taking generals who are involved. So, and now there's a lot of things simmering in
Exactly.
Liberia.
Exactly.
So, and we need to once and for
We
all.
need to
Let's solve the problem.
work together. It won't be difficult.
Whoever's
to come
president is
together.
president. Whoever's president, Gambians will choose one president.
Exactly.
Mr. Cham,
Let's try and make sure that we have justice and reconciliation, and
then we move forward.
Yes, Mr. Cham, I agree with Council. Most of the things we are saying something that are already things that are, very clear. I think the reconciliation issue is very important. What is the purpose of the reconciliation? It's deterrent. It's the purpose of justice.
Exactly.
It's to deter. Whether we have to seen through the process of the TRC.
And healing.
Yes.
Healing.
If a healing point healing is number one.
Yes.
And one of the healings is
Healing is number one.
and accepting that wrong has been done.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to heal.
Healing. And during the TRC process, we have seen that most of the wounds that have been made to some extent has been minimized because people have accepted responsibility.
Yes.
Even though,
Sorry, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, because we have seen
Where some people have
embrace each other and decided to let go.
At individual level.
Yes,
For example, that soldier who
people have decided to agree and embrace each other.
No, what I'm saying is, with respect, my life friend, so when you say most of, you know how many victims there?
Well, that's
So some people have
individual
accepted,
level, yes.
because I work with victim groups. There are different victim groups.
Different categories.
They're different.
Yeah.
I interact with them.
That's true.
So and that is not the experience I get from them. Right. So there are people who have come accepted and said they're forgiven, which is fine because everybody. But I don't think that can be said for the.
For many of them.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Based on my
I agree with senior counsel that crimes that are committed against the state. It is the state that will take the responsibility and the willingness to so that justice is made, right? The victims can say, okay, I forgive, I let it go, I have moved forward, right? But it is the state that the crime is committed against, not against the individual, although he is the victim, but the state will take it that it is the responsibility of the state to make sure that these things are punished because they are in violation of the law. I agree with that. What I'm saying is that for purpose of reconciliation, remember the theme of the TRC is to establish dialogue on how we can have a mutual understanding as a society, as a country, on how we can move forward. I believe that the people who have suffered injustice in this country can be their concerns and their sufferings can be addressed in a way without provoking or making one set of the society being targeted.
I totally agree with you.
Or stigmatized.
Stigmatized. So I believe that justice is an option that's through the courts, but we also should allow other avenues to open. And to heal the concerns, the wounds of the victims, because in most cases the victims will benefit from the secondary category I'm saying, rather than justice. Because if Jammeh, for example, is prosecuted and he's sentenced to imprisonment for life, and is not in the material interest of any of the victims. But if Jammeh has come and honored his responsibility, for example, and all these things, but now repatriation, okay, Jammeh, you own certain properties. The government is going to seize that to make sure that we correct some of the wrongs that you have done. These victims are entitled to be compensated for the losses that they have made. So that is the reconciliation that TRC, the legislators have in mind when they were talking about, when they're enacting the TRRC Act.
Exactly, and they have started that process.
No, sorry, I think I need to put this in context. If you interact with victims, and I'm not an expert in this, but I deal with it in some in different capacities, and I can tell you, you cannot quantify someone's hurt. But monetary payments, it helps, because somebody whose parent was killed now can pay for their kid's school fee. That's great. It will minimize the harm, the hurt and damage, because there's one thing being your father being killed, another your kids are not going to school. So if that's the reparation part will go in at least giving them a life.
Mr. Cham, equally, equally sending the treasures to mile 2 will not address their.
I'm coming.
Sending the suspect to mile
2 will not address more than what their recreation can
I'm
do.
just saying. I think that's why reparation is very important because that's more tangible in terms of what they will get.
Exactly.
But I think if you look at a lot of studies, a lot of people also feel very insulted if you think that only reparation will solve a problem. Reparation is you cannot concur. You can have reparation and also justice and accountability. Because of the day, holistically, they want closure. They want closure. Reparation will have towards that, but also making sure that those who are in fact, not all of them can be taken to jail or tried, you know that. But there are certain people who, because of the level of and extent of the involvement, people expect that they should be held accountable. You can determine how long they will stay. They don't have to, depending on the length. But there's I was talking to somebody saying that when they saw this suspect in handcuff, that is when they were at ease. Happy, I mean, if you ask people, they tell you the moment they seen, I mean, or Milosevic, or even behind, like they demystify that. Look, you, this mighty dictator, killing people, or Pinochet. Now you are now behind this glass. I mean, that sends a strong message. And I think that has value, in my opinion. I mean, for me, I mean, and that doesn't exclude. And I also agree that justice does not solve all the problems. But I think justice is one of the important pillars of transitional justice. That's why I call it TJ. Justice is there, reconciliation is there, and reconciliation. Because most people tell you, many people tell you, for heinous crimes, it's very difficult to have reconciliation without justice.
No, that's not a problem.
So I think we have to balance it. But we cannot just say let's just kiss and make up and pay them. I'm sorry, with all due respect, a lot of the things that Jammeh had, he didn't work for it. To start with, I mean, we know his story, for God's sake. So now the took that he took from us as a country, whatever, hundreds of millions. Then you just allow him to come back in, you sell it and pay. I mean, really.
It is. Okay, you mentioned, both of you mentioned, I was talking the international community's goodwill and our support in the whole process. Now, I remember the Gambia government reaching out to the international community in pursuit of people who have committed crime and who have also, even to get them all their assets. Recently, the American government went to court and won a case to forfeit President Jammeh's house in America. Then later we understood that it's been suggested that part of the monies, if they sell it, will come to the Gambia. What do you think of that? Or in fact, legally, what do you think happened to that house? And it was of course, we know the Gambia government who requested help from all these parties. So
yes, it will the prosecution and the seizure or confiscation of whatever the property that is at Port Mark, I think you are talking about.
Is it a good thing or is it
it's a proper? Well, my opinion is that it will all depends on the decision that is made. What was the proceed? Whether the proceed was from the proceed of corruption. Maybe the government of Gambia has looted monies in the Gambian coffer and went to use that for his personal gain. In that circumstance, it is proper a right to seize it, to freeze his assets, to seize the asset and bring them back to the Gambian people. That is very right. But on the other hand, if this thing was done under the umbrella of them having an opinion about Jammeh that is not justifiable, therefore choosing his properties, I think it would be distinct prejudicial to have done that and returning money to the Gambia.
What should be the role of the Gambia government in that? Because in the first place, the Gambia government which requested for such kind of help, if I can remember.
Yeah, the government of the Gambia must have presented sufficient evidence to the United States State Department to investigate those Jammeh's assets in the United States, how the money was obtained and all those things. I think before the State Department could move, they must have been convinced that they have sufficient evidence to suggest that the properties were bought from money looted from the coffers of the Gambian government. I think that was the basis of it. Yes.
Sir, what did you know about that case? What exactly happened legally?
Well, you know, because under the U.S., just like they did with OBN, now dictators cannot hide anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere in the world, whether it's London, Paris, Dubai, even, or America. You can set up any trust company you want, but the way the law works is you can't justify if it is established that these are proceeds of corruption, because we know as a president how much you earn as a salary. This is a $3.5 million mansion in Potomac. Potomac is
which is in today's rate is how much? Okay, close to 180 to 200 million.
Exactly. And rising. So obviously, and when this suit was filed, they tried to serve Jammeh to. He had a right to come and say that.
But he couldn't leave.
You just engage a lawyer.
Engage lawyers.
Yeah, engage a lawyer.
He didn't do anything like that.
It was not even contested. It was not even contested.
He didn't even bother.
Because you have to come and show that you earn this money.
Yeah, and he was given the chance. He was.
It's a due process. They will file documents that we are taking. There's an action to seize this property.
Yes.
The onus is on you to show that the property was bought from legitimate earnings. Obviously, he cannot do that. So, but this is the first stage, because obviously, the United States government, obviously had to deal with the Gambian government to have some of the. The Jammeh Commission alone is there.
Yes, that's right.
And as you know, there was cooperation between the Gambian government.
Yes, there was a request.
No, even the Jammeh Commission investigation, there was a lot of work between the government of Gambia and the United States and other countries. For sure.
Yes, Mr. Cham,
so the point
that I want to make very clear is that, to be honest, the circumstances, the political circumstances when this investigation were started by the government of the Gambia, yes, the circumstances at that time did not allow Jammeh, did not give Jammeh an opportunity. The circumstances were not so free. Jammeh was not free to have made those decisions to go and defend his case.
But in the case of the house, he received how to call it? He received papers in the Equatorial Guinea. It's been said.
But because we were going through a constitutional crisis, we are going through many things that were going on, through him. I think he would have been given a reasonable time to have responded than because the case is against Jammeh. You can take it as a normal case, but the circumstances surrounding all the yes, it's different. He should have been given the time. That is the argument from other people who have been following the case. Yes.
But anyway, in any event, Jammeh owns a house worth 150 million
in
America, plus about 300 in Gambia. We know his earnings, so that's for another discussion. But now the United States government it's not Gambia who went to court; it's United States government.
Exactly.
But Gambia government now can actually now request
for
the money.
Yes.
No, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Gambia government have been interested in the case.
In the case, yes.
Even the victims are interested in it.
Yes, I remember the victims.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to say much about this.
Yeah, okay.
But I think what is important that those money will come back to Gambia and should be used judiciously.
Okay.
Because it's not the first time. It did happen in Nigeria. But this country, before they send the money, they will make sure that everything is in place to ensure that the money goes to the right place.
I see. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Gentlemen, yes, I think I have to draw the curtain on the brunch this week, and I have to thank you people very well. I now call you, I'll be fair to call you Lamin friends. Landed friends. Whatever that means. Okay. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Jallow, Council Esquire. I should say
Esquire, yes.
Wow. And Salieu Taal, of course, the President of the Gambia Bar Association, for your thoughts on transitional justice in the Gambia. We will be back next week with another interesting topic. Until then, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302 data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data is fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
For all your pastry, bakery and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980 8483 340 9400 or 635 9906.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.